You might have a few. By now, you probably have your chart and probably have 5 or 10 people's charts that are close to you. Those charts you're looking at, you know, their degrees. You might have an Aries or 2 in that. So, okay. But now, when we take the pentans, we have the pentans. So it's the same list, but it divides it into the pentans. The first 5 degrees is Aries pentan. So the Aries with the Aries pentan is Elvis Stoiko, the world figure skating champion. Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul, but she had energy and her special fighting nature. And Gloria Steinem, the feminist leader, the author. So we had the 3, probably most impulsive or assertive, or maybe it's almost an innocence to Aries, but that impulsiveness is there. So, okay, if you look at the Tauruses, Aries with the Taurus theme, Diana Ross, Sarah Vaughan, Vincent van Gogh, they all had an artistic Venus quality. So when you're looking at the pentan, you can go through each of the characters. I find it easiest to see the ruler and see the presence of the ruler within the Aries ruled by Mars and that Aries energy. There's this other quality that comes in here. So when it goes into Gemini, you have Hans Christian Andersen, Marlon Brando, the actor, and Washington Irving, the author. So you have a much more mental Gemini independent streak inside the Aries. But you do see the Mercury, the writing and things coming out. Now, there were 10 or 20 so I just chose the people I knew that were easiest to show this example. We're going to have lists in the forum, in the RASA student forum. We'll put lists of all of the different pentans and where you can go and check these things out in a greater way. But really, it's about checking it out for yourself in your chart, in the charts you use. But this is showing you what happens to the Aries that have the Cancer. Richard Alpert, the guru, but when he first started, he was a psychologist at university. Then he started experimenting with LSD. Then he had these big meetings that were always at his mansion or at his home, and people would come and go there, and it was a constant place at his home. And that's how he built up his guru side. Of course, it's how it manifested, how people found out about it, and then it grew. But even at the end, when he was dying, he still had all the people taking care of him in his home, and was his moon was a prominent thing. Harry Houdini's the magician. Harry's Cancer moon. The only thing I can think of for his moon, I don't know these people like personally, so the only thing I can think about for his moon was he used to challenge everybody. You can hit me in the stomach as hard as you want. He'd stand there and he'd let big, tough, big, strong guys, boxers, he'd stand there. And here's the Aries, which go ahead, hit me, hits him in the stomach, the Aries with a Cancer, and he could always take it. But one day, someone knocked on his door, came to him, says yes, and they just instantly hit him in the stomach when he wasn't expected, and it killed him. That's how he died. So there's a very dramatic Aries with a Cancer pentan. Harry Houdini. Hugh Hefner, well, you might say he's the Aries with the mother complex or the breast complex. Publisher of Playboy. Aries with Cancer moon. Then you have, when it goes to Leo, you have Catherine Mansfield, the author, short stories. So she got known for her short stories. That's the Aries, write a fast story. Boom, there it is. But no, Thomas Jefferson, president, the best. I'm doing it. Here I am. The king is me. Gary Kasparov, the chess master, the Aries with Leo. I'm the competitor. I'm fighting. I'm the best there is. I'm the winner. You have the pride and the double fire around this chess master. When it gets to Virgo, it's you might see a more critical side. I just would expect a more mental side to it, a more cerebral side to the Aries. And you have Marco Adler, the Wiccan priestess, who would know the Wiccan ways and know these things, but also be strong in what she was doing, and somewhat critical of other ways. Wilbur Wright, the inventor of the airplane, so he had the mental concepts and built up the plan and did the details to make the first airplane. Well, as far as American history goes. Charlie Chaplin, the slapstick comedian, had the Aries Virgo. He had that impulsive, stupid run, and then he had these Virgo things, these plans that would disrupt the trip. That's what made him funny. But this was a good example of just seeing I didn't do it for every sign. I have it for Aries. I'll do it for Taurus. So just to get a sense of how these work. But really, it's quite incredible. You see where it is for you. It just adds another theme, another layer. How does this work for me? You just do it like you did the worksheet. My sun's in here, boom, boom. My moon's in here with this sub-theme inside. Oh, wow, look at that. It'll start explaining some things. And again, so you have to do this work right now, working with natal charts and seeing it in charts. But then after you get used to seeing it in the charts, you can see how the transits, any planet going through a sign, a degree of the zodiac is going to be affecting the sign and having that pentan accentuated. As it goes through some, and the progressions which take a lot longer, we have these bigger phases where we see these phases come out. Oops. Okay, so what's happening here? Oh, this one I just didn't shrink down. Okay, oh, that's this one putting the colors in for the pentan. That's the end of the Aries one, Aries Taurus. Okay. It's been quite a few years since I've taught this class. Okay, so here's Gemini, and I'm missing, no, we're missing something here. Taurus. Okay, I got to put it in correctly, so it's out of order. One's out of order here. Okay, that's what happened. Okay, here's the Taurus. Here's the Taurus example. So Taurus, here's Taurus. Charlie Mingus, the jazz musician. Roy Orbison, the songbird. Barbara Streisand, singer. Martin Luther's wife. Martin Luther King's wife. Samuel Morse called Michelle Pfeiffer. Teilhard de Chardin, Bing Crosby, Maximilian Robespierre, Johannes Brahms, Robert Leary, the first North Pole, Salvador Dali, Shakespeare, George Lucas, Liberace, James Stewart, Cher. All have their kind of artistic, they have a kind of Taurian side to them anyways. If we take this further and divide it up, we'll see the first three of the first 5 degrees of Taurus is Libra, feminine sign. Taurus, Libra, both Venus ruled. Charlie Mingus, Roy Orbison, Barbara Streisand, all dealing with music and beauty, especially Roy Orbison, Barbara Streisand. Great singer. They really had a special quality that you just loved. How could you fight it? They had that Venus quality, Taurus with the Libra quality inside of it. When you go into the Scorpio, you're going to have a much more Martian or adventurous or challenging side to the Taurus, and a double stubborn side. This is the Taurus Scorpio. This is King, Martin Luther King's wife, Samuel Morse, and Michelle Pfeiffer. Well, I'm just talking random. I don't know these people, so it's hard. It's easier for someone you know. But with Coretta King, her husband, her family had the death, and she became really known and brought up with family through the death of her husband, through the dedication and the depth of her husband. She had her own intensity. She was a good backup for him. She wouldn't flinch. Samuel Morse, I think, I'm just looking for associations that would work. Here's the guy who invented the Morse code, a secret code that travels by sound with dots and dashes. And he had the Taurus. It's practical, but it's also secret. It's like he had the Scorpio side of figuring this out. And then you have Michelle Pfeiffer, the Taurus with a Scorpio moon, where you have the emotional and the sexual. You have her playing My Image of Hers. She's done a lot of good movies, but she did her movie as Catwoman really expressed the Taurus Scorpio sun very well. Now, then you have Taurus Sag, or Jupiter ruled Venus with Jupiter. You think, wow, that's going to expand on that. Benjamin Smock, Teilhard de Chardin, and Bing Crosby. Well, it brought in the philosophical aspect and the understanding aspect. Benjamin Smock telling women how to bring up their kids. He sees the understanding, and then that was his approach. With Teilhard de Chardin, he was the philosopher. He had the Jupiter side around it. Bing Crosby, he was a singer, but he wasn't he had this nice style, beautiful voice, but he had a Sagittarian demeanor, a very avant-garde or opportunist, or a very Sagittarian outer nature. So as he's not just a singer, he was an entertainer. He did a bunch of things. Okay, when you get to Capricorn, now Taurus, Capricorn, Earth, what's going to happen? Who do we have? Maximilian Robespierre. It's extreme, but I just random. These are people. I have a list of a bunch of people. I just took the ones. But here's someone. If he didn't get what he wanted, he took control. He enforced how he wanted. They have a French revolutionary leader. They have Johann Brahms, the composer. But when you're composing, it's not the same thing as singing. Composing, you're having to plan, you're having to think, you're having to write the structure down, you're having to put the music down, you have to write down the very Saturnine element to it. And you have Edwin Perry, the first explorer at the North Pole. Now, I think that's strange because usually Capricorns are a bit afraid of the cold, they're sensitive to the cold. The Moon and Capricorn people, but Taurus with the Capricorn, he had the fascination. He wanted to be at the North Pole. He wanted to physically experience the mystical presence of being at the pole. And there was no record of anyone. I'm sure some people may have been there before. There was no record of anybody having been up there before. So when they say it's the first explorer at the pole, it's the first one known, according to European or Western colonial culture. When you go to Taurus Aquarius, here, you're going to have the mental, it's still strategic, so the Saturn strategic side to it, but it also has the innovative side to it. The Salvador Dali, that's a painter, the Taurus, but he had his own unique take on things. Very structured, was very weird with structure. The Taurus Aquarius, William Shakespeare, the playwright, he had volumes of material. He put out mystical knowledge inside of his plays. And astrological knowledge, I mean, you can change the scenes, the countries, the languages of Shakespeare. There's only one thing you can't change in Shakespeare, and that's the plays. Each person has a relation to the destiny. They're not living up to their stars. It's an ill-fated day. It's a lucky day. It was all filled with astrology. I had to reread a lot of stuff once I learned astrology because it just changed the way I saw things. But at Taurus Aquarius Sun, George Lucas, the movie producer, there's someone who saw beauty and could write the script and set up the themes to make it express itself. What a good package together. Put the music, put the sound, knows how these things should fit. When he gets to Pisces, you have the Taurus Venus, and then you have the Jupiter Pisces. You have Liberace, the gay musician pianist, but he was like blatantly gay before anyone would even announce being gay. Right? He was indulgently so, but he was a very good musician too, a very kind, sensitive guy. Then Taurus Pisces, James Stewart, the actor, I don't know enough about him, but he did have his practical side, but he had this emotional side to him too. Taurus Pisces, Cher, the singer, Cher sings. So you have, again, the musical side and a kind of conscientiousness behind this. So this is kind of how they all work. This is examples of it. So we had this backed up funny, so we'll just go on. Yeah, so this chart became, it came in too soon, so we'll just go ahead. Okay. So when we go to Gemini, we have the same division. The first 5 degrees of Gemini is Aries, 5 to 10 is Taurus, 10 to 15 is Gemini, and then 10 to 15 to 20 is Cancer, 20 to 25, Leo, 25 to 30 is Virgo. The end of each masculine sign is going to have this Virgo, fussy, picky, hard-working quality to it, earthy quality to it. Then Cancer will be first 5 degrees is Leo, that is Libra, first 5 degrees is Libra, then 5 to 10 is Scorpio, 10 to 15 is Sag, up to the solstice, the 15-degree point. Then Capricorn, 10 to 15 to 20, 20 to 25 is Aquarius, and 25 to 30 is Pisces.